Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the little glimpse into our immediate Brexit future that a test earlier this week at the border gave us, resulting in 5 miles of lorry tailbacks in Kent. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So this was a couple of days ago. Some of you may have thought, he's not going to talk about it now. There's quite a lot of other things to discuss, but no, I'm not passing this one up. So, first of all, the way it appeared to me. So I just saw a snippet, just saw a headline talking about the fact that a test of post-Brexit customs IT software had caused 5-mile tailbacks of lorries. And I have to say, I was shocked. I was very surprised. I don't mean that sarcastically. I genuinely was surprised. I wasn't surprised that testing such a system would lead to disruption on the roads. Of course it would, because even a fully working customs system will lead to delays. We know this. There are countries that border the EU where there are delays. Take Turkey, for example. You get significant delays at the border between the EU and Turkey. And Turkey is in a customs union with the EU, not the one we are in at the moment. Not as comprehensive as that, but better than nothing at all. And even if we get a deal, we're still going to have nothing at all. We're not going to have any customs union, because the deal isn't for a customs union with the EU, even a different one. So of course we're going to have delays. That wasn't what was surprising. It wasn't even the fact that obviously you test a system, so people are not all that familiar with it, and that will, cause delays as well. The fact that maybe the system wasn't working properly. I've not seen anything that suggested that the system did have anything go wrong with it. But, that would be perfectly normal. You test a system to find out what's still wrong with it to put it right. Now, what surprised me was reading this and thinking, we don't have an IT system. Our Brexit system isn't ready. And, we know it's not ready. It's not being tested. And we're told by those making it that it's not going to be ready anytime soon. I was a little bit puzzled by this. What are we testing then? Then you read the details, you find, we're not testing. That makes sense because we haven't got anything to test. The system being tested was the one used by the French authorities. So the test took place over an intended period of 9 hours. I think it may have lasted 10 looking at the reports. So 10 hours of testing this software for lorries trying to use Eurotunnel. And it caused a 5-mile long queue. This was not a full dress rehearsal for January the 1st either. It was just a limited test of software. They weren't carrying out all the checks they're going to be doing in a few weeks' time. When we exit the transition period, there will be full checks, at least from the UK to France. Now, our government have said that they will not carry out those checks initially on inbound traffic. Because, nothing says taking back control of our borders like throwing them wide open and letting absolutely anything through. Anything at all. Oh, you've got a lorry? Do we want to see what's inside it? No, you're all right, mate. Carry on. Could be packed with illegal immigrants, as they like to call them. It's fine. Just let them through. No problem. We ain't got the systems to check, you see. But the thing is, all the government will be doing with this action, which is dodgy enough in itself, I'm still curious to see what the international community will think of this. I suppose it depends how it works. But all it can ever do is reduce the overall level of Brexit chaos. Can't avert it. Because full checks will be taking place on the EU side, and they're not all that keen on letting just anyone and anything through into their territories. It seems that only Brexiteers are in favour of no checks at the borders. But what happens when these checks are applied, and in full, and over a period of time longer than 9 hours? What happens to the cargo, for example? There are concerns for animals, live animals, being exported, being stuck in queues for an excessive period of time. Then there's the problems on a more selfish level for the country that have been explained for years, and the Brexit mob dismissed as Project Fear. So we rely upon food imports that simply can't be waiting for days in a customs queue. Fresh food, quite a lot of it from the EU, particularly in January. In winter we are especially dependent upon fresh food. Fresh food spoils. If it's stuck in a queue for days, be useless by the time it makes it to its destination, so we won't actually be getting it. We also import most of our medicines from the EU as well. Some people think, well, that's all right. That's okay, Phil. Don't you remember? Government arranged a stockpile of medicines. They thought about it, you see. Yeah, I remember. But for those who may not have been keeping up, there's three little problems with this. So some medicines have a short shelf life and can't be stockpiled. But they still needed, people need them to live. So we need them quickly. We can't afford delays and we can't stockpile them. Secondly, our stockpile was in Belgium. So, our master plan to deal with the problem of struggling to get things like medicines from the EU to the UK was to stockpile them in the EU, in the very country that has Brussels in it, the headquarters of a certain extent, or part of the headquarters. And then the third problem is, so I say our stockpile was in Belgium. Oh, what's that, Phil? They moved it to the UK? Of course they did. Boris isn't an idiot. No, we didn't move it. The reason I say our stockpile was in Belgium is because it was depleted by the pandemic. No longer exists. We couldn't replenish it in time. We don't have a stockpile anymore. So we're going to have a big issue with access to medicines if we cannot think of a way of expediting their entry into the UK. And for those who think, right, I've got it. What if we have a fast track lane that's only usable for those vital goods like fresh food and medicines? Now, here's the thing. I've never worked in logistics of this kind. I don't know, Kent. I don't know how feasible it is to do that. Might be completely ludicrous, might be feasible. I don't know. I'll tell you what I do know. I know that you have absolutely no way of telling which lorries are carrying those goods and therefore may use that lane if there's no one going to be carrying out any checks on them. Because we're not going to carry out checks, government have said that, in order to minimise disruption. So we are going to have huge queues of lorries caused by the new customs arrangements. That will cause shortages of food and medicines. Not has the potential to, will. The industry leaders have said so. But that's not where the problem ends. Because, people will be saying, Phil, that's the outbound stuff. Okay, that's going to hurt our businesses because they can't export on time. Some of their produce may become damaged as well. That's a problem, yeah. But we can still get this. You're talking about food and medicines coming into the country. Well, if we don't do checks, at least that's coming through quickly. No. See, as hauliers have tried to point out, what happens, the way freight works is you get your lorry and it picks up its goods from the UK and it takes it to the EU and then it drops it off. But it doesn't come straight back. That would be wasteful. That would be silly. So they pick up a shipment there to import back to the UK. Because while a lorry is on the road and empty, it's costing money for that logistics firm. Now, if the outbound lorry is stuck in a queue for days, then it won't be picking up that inbound shipment for several days as well. So although the government intend to throw open our side of the border and let just anyone in, which is, I'm sure, exactly what the xenophobic Brexiteers voted for, because they know what they voted for, we're still going to see huge delays in getting those imports because the lorries that are supposed to be bringing them here are stuck in the outbound queue. And there are two other factors that will also significantly reduce the number of lorries that we even have to ship freight between the UK and the EU. So first, EU-based lorries. Because basically, you've got EU-based lorries and drivers and British-based lorries and drivers. So the EU-based lorry drivers, we are told by those in the industry, may just refuse to do the UK run because of the disruption. They can't be arsed with it. Because the reverse process exists for them. Now, you can imagine that, but Phil, there's not going to be any checks coming in, so they can get their shipment, they can come into the UK, no problems at all, they're not going to find any barriers. Right, okay. The problem is then that they have to then go back. So they pick up their shipment, makes no difference whether they pick up a shipment or not, but they will do, they have to. And then they try and leave the UK. Hello, several days worth of queuing. But not to worry, because the government will be lining the roads with portaloos. No word yet on how they're going to arrange for the cleaning of all of these. And as someone, see, I've heard horror stories from festivals. I've never even been to a festival. I'll tell you where I have been though. I've been to car boot sales and I've seen the state of one of these chemical toilets after half a day's use at a car boot sale. I do not envy the drivers who have to use these things if the government haven't actually considered maintenance. So yeah, we may struggle to persuade European lorry drivers, to help out. Secondly, so not to worry, because we'll just use British lorry drivers. So yeah, it's coming to that. See, they need permits. Now, I've mentioned this a few times as well. I need to mention it whenever I can because it's really important. Currently, we haven't agreed a deal. We may do. Maybe right about now, Boris Johnson's agreeing to the deal. But lots of people are talking about getting one quite soon. It's still speculation until it's announced. But in the absence of a deal, we only have enough permits for a quarter of our fleet. So a no-deal Brexit literally means cutting our freight capacity by 75%. Nice one. Good. Okay. And even if we do get a deal, that doesn't make it all right either, because haulage leaders that I have listened to statements from are not at all confident. In fact, they're quite sure that we won't get as many permits as we have now. So our fleet is still going to be reduced. Of course, if there are fewer lorries to ship things between the UK and the EU, maybe that would limit the size of the queues. In fact, after all, if there's not as many lorries even allowed into the EU, that means there's not as many lorries to gum up the works. But then we come to the problem is, okay, so if there's then less trade with the EU, then that means we're not getting as much stuff from the EU. So first of all, the outbound stuff, that comes with a hefty economic cost, because that means our businesses can't export, which is how they sell, which is how they make money to pay their taxes that we are sorely in need of now. It's a time when the government has already got a huge deficit that it has no plan to deal with. Rishi Sunak's statement this week, no plan to do it at all. He's just going to put it off. But we also need that trade to get in the food, the medicines, the toilet roll. We export toilet roll, import rather, and chemicals to treat our drinking water. These are 4 things that we need, where we basically get it from the EU, the vast majority of it. And, we can't just supply ourselves. It's not just that we happen to get it from the EU because it's a bit cheaper. We actually can't supply all of our needs ourselves. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.